So Parshas Mishpatim, we're going to skip the first four and start at 5, understanding the Shlo. On the Pasuk, Zeh Keli Vanvehu, this is part of Az Yishir Moshe, the Song of the Sea. Elokei Aviv Amramehu. Ve'ele Divrav, these are the words of the Shlo. That when this is Keli, when he is my God, that he is my God from my Hasaga, I understand it, my Das. Therefore he's my God. He's not a God, he's my God because I get him in my Seichel. Then V'anvehu. That means Anivahu. So the simple translation, Rashi brings down, I'll build for him a house. You were saying Anivahu, it's me and him. Ratzalonmar Anivahu, Devaikim Beyacha, we are together as one Kaviyachol. Because the Yediyah is grabbed in the Leiv. So when you have the Seichel and you understand it, therefore you have this Yichud with Hashem. So there's Zeh Keli Vanvehu. But when you don't have the understanding through your seichel, you don't understand it. It's only from the Kabbalah. That's Elokei Avi. So people have told you. You read a book. You say God is great. That Kabbalah is coming from outside of you. As for Ramamenhu, you will make him Ramamus. You will exalt him because it is Ram Veniskav. It is beyond you. It is above you, and I am far from it. From in my heart. So when I look in my heart, I don't find God there because people are telling me how great everything is. And I hear this great story about God and God is wonderful and I want to do all my work for God, but really I feel nothing. I'm dead inside. My heart does not grab it. So we have the two Madregas. We have the Madrega of Zeh Keli Vanvehu, it's me. This is my God. It's me and him. We are together. We are with one. That's when God comes into the Seichel. But then you have a level of Amunah, which is as you're told about it, so it's above you. So Kloimar. So this is going outside. They're the words of the Shlo. The Nosov le'emuna, going beyond Emuna. And it comes from the Avi. So the Avi will give you the Emuna, the Kabbalah, Ish mi pi ish. Everyone's telling you. So somebody who's at Sinai tells the next generation and so on until you get it, that you makabel the Torah from Sinai. It's a Kabbalah Ish mi pi ish. So yeah, God, I believe in God and God is great, but it doesn't necessarily come into the Seichel when it's just Ish mi pi ish. And if there also needs to be a yediyah, it needs to nichnas into the seichel, and through coming into the seichel, then it will go into the levi data yom v'shata alal vecho. Because through the emuna, you will feel the man that Kosh Baruch Hu is ram v'niskav mimeno. He will feel that he's above him. The ketoitza mikacha adam, and it comes out from this man merachok mi'ito mitzav malev, that comes very far from him, from what is hidden in his heart. So it won't be toifis hidden in his leiv. But in the ims of the Yediyah mitzad hasaga, but through understanding, then the havanas of Elokos, you will get to the cause to be in the matzav, to the state of ani v'hu deveikim biyachad. It'll be me and him together. It's also the understanding of the pasuk da es Elokei avicha, know the God of your father. It's not enough that Kodesh Baruch Hu is the God of your father, but you need to have the das as well. You yourself from your hasaga. Just because your dad has it, that doesn't mean that you will have it. Again, you have the second generation. And the first generation of the Baal Tshuva is thirsty for God, and he chases God, and he has God in his heart. And then the next generation never had that thirst. They had it. They were just born with it, and their whole religion is given to them from their father, and they have to develop their own das. But in this manner, it's not understood because according to the Shalah, we really should have the pasuk of in a hippoch, in the flip the order of the psukim. Originally it will be Elokei Aviv Ramehu, and then it will be Zeh Keli Vanvehu. Because originally you have the Emunah mitzad avicha, what comes first, or first comes from your father. He tells you, yeah, God is great. And then, after that, then you develop your Yediyah from Hasaga and your understanding of God. So 6. L'chaira, it's given over to explain this according to what's known, that also after that is kaim through man, the Emunah of Yediyah mitzad Hasaga. So when you have the Yediyah from the Hasaga, you also have the Emunah. Adayin still, there's a place for the Emunah that's above Hasaga. So even though you have Emunah that leads to the Hasaga, the Emunah, you're telling that God is for you, and then you have that Kabbalah, then you learn about God, but then there's an Emunah that's beyond that. Since God has no boundaries, it's clear that everything that reaches to the level that's above through hasaga, there is always going to be a level of godliness that is beyond the hasaga. That aleihin efshar legia rak alidei emunah, that you can only reach. So since hasaga seichel is in the level of seichel, of hasaga, of getting it. Therefore, how are you going to understand something that doesn't fit into seichel? So that's where emunah kicks in. So therefore, you always have a level that's above hasaga, of being able to understand it and reach it. It's always going to have a level above that, and that will be through the emunah. And that is the kavana. In the pasuk zekeli vanvehu, and after that you will have Eloki Avi Veramehu. So that this emuna is on a higher level than. So there's two levels of emuna lower than seichel, and then an emuna higher than seichel. So that the first you have the seichel zekeli vanvehu, and after that then you will reach the level of zekeli veramehu. And the chiddush is that also after the avoida of zekeli vanvehu, even though that you and God are dovik together, hasaga v'havana, you get it and you love and you understand it. It also has to be the inyan of Eloki Aviver Aminhu Amuna. So we've been after, so you can't just be Seichel. You always have to be pushing beyond the Seichel and reaching the Amuna. And the Amuna is that which the Seichel can't reach, which is an even deeper level. But a Dayan, not everything is clear. Because although you have the level of Amuna that comes Acher, after the idea of Hasaga, but in all this, why is it not Muzkeres Amuna Haba Lifneha Havana Maskanala Yisod? So why is the second Amuna the only thing that is taught here? We should have really two Amunas, three Psukim, the Amuna and then the Hasaga and then the Amuna. So what about the Amuna that comes before the Havana? And the Yisod Amuna, Elokei Avi, so the Yisodos is that God, I believe in God. It's Poshut. It's before, it's clean of Seichel. So Acharei Bahatas Efedah Zekeli. So what happened to that first Amuna? So 7, Asparlakach, to explain this. So the Tachlis of Matan Torah was the bittul of the Gezerah in the Kesher to the higher levels and the lower levels. So when Bittul Torah came, so God came down into this world. He had the higher levels going down into the lower levels. So there was a Bittul. So before Matan Torah, you had the higher levels staying in the higher levels and the lower levels staying in the higher levels and in the lower levels. And that's what you have when the Avos were doing the mitzvahs and the Avos were keeping the Torah. Everything was down here. So Abraham kept sukkahs, and that the tree was planted in the ground. And today, because we have disconnected our connection to the lower levels, and the lower levels have risen up into the higher levels, therefore a tree cannot be planted. But for Abraham, it was okay to have a tree that was planted, because the disconnection between the upper realms and the lower realms was not broken yet. But Matan Torah, you had that broken, where the higher ones come down and the lower ones go up. So we cause this state of where the lowers go up to the higher and the highers come down to the lowers. So you have the Shemayim going down to Aretz and Aretz going up to Shemayim. So what's the connection between the Elyon and the Tachton is in the Dakshav Tachton Lo Yivatel. We don't want to have the lower ones just becoming bottle. It's Metzias, and there should become Elyon. Because if Elyon comes down, so God comes down onto the mountain and then just turns the whole world into God. That's not what we're looking for here. So you have a bittul of the Metzias of the lower worlds. If the higher ones just come down here, and then the lower ones just mevatel, so that everything just becomes the higher. There is no lower. So therefore the lower has to keep its own identity. It'll show Yishar Metzias Shel Tachton. The lower ones have to keep their own identity, and in this Metzias, then they will go up and be a chibur im elyonim. So the lower ones have to stay lower, and then they can go up with their own identity. Then go up into the higher. And that is the hesber also for the ein dai bezoch alunim. It's not enough that the higher ones go down to the lower ones, and because like Hashem came down onto Har Sinai, you also need that it was also the Tachtonim who are going to go up to the higher ones, and more than this, the Midrash is Medayak and Makdim, the inyan of the Tachtonim Yalu Elyonim. So the Midrash, we saw up here, we said that the lower ones will go up to the higher, and the higher will come down to the Tachtonim. So what's first is that Tachtonim will go up first, and more than this, the Midrash Inyan Shel HaElyonim Yordu. So why is it the tachtonim down? Lemaisa hayaser lehepach. So first, so that lemaisa God came down first, and then we went up. But since the inyan of the elyonim coming down to the tachtonim isn't caused through the tachtonim, only through the elyonim, therefore, ein inyan ze goyrim lehischabro. So therefore, that is not causing the chibur, the connection of the tachtonim with Elokus. Ila lebitl mitziyosim shel bnei Yisrael. The coming down is causing the bitl of bnei Yisrael. V'yechared kol ha'am, that all the people became charedi. They were trembling, and the yara ha'am, and they saw and they trembled and they stood from afar, and all the world was yechared kol ha'har, that there was a trembling of the whole mountain, until so much that in all the world that the birds were not chirping, but the whole world was silent. So that's a Yerusdila that's causing a charada and a trembling of the whole world down here, which is causing the bittel. Why are the birds not singing? Because they are mevatled because of this coming down from above. And in order that it will come out in the kavanah of Matan Torah. So how we actually bring out the kavanah of Matan Torah, which is, as we've explained, that the oilam will have this chibur. So again, if the oilam just comes and everyone's silent and there's no chibur there, Yitached becomes one with the Elyonim, while they are still in their mitzios of Tachton. They don't become the Elyon, but they stay as themselves. There is a need in the avoda of the Tachtonim atzmam, that the people below, they need that avoda. What is the avoda? That the Tachtonim will go up to the Elyonim. So you need that avoda in order to have the Matan Torah. But through the method that is possible of the chibur skuzos. So only through the tachtonim going up are you going to able to achieve this of the chibur, to have this unification. And from the other side, you have also the need of the preparation of the higher ones coming down to the tachtonim, because the bottles that is causing through this to the tachtonim is the nesinas ukayach. It gives the power to the tachtonim in order that they are able after that to go up to the elyonim by the kayach of themselves. Obviously, without the higher ones coming down, the lower ones can't go up. And Abraham could not go up to the elyonim no matter how much he tried, because he didn't have the elyonim coming down to him. So first you need the elyonim coming down, and that will give the kayach of the tachtonim staying as they are to go up. And these two inyonim that we got the top down and bottom up, mekablim ba'avoda pratis le'amunah v'hasaga haseichel. So we have them in the avoda, in the specific avoda of emunah and hasaga and understanding and seichel. And the emunah doesn't flow from the shtadlo, and from the work. Emunah is not coming from hard work of man by himself, but it is given from above. That's what the shlo is saying. Kabbalas ish mi pi ish. So when you have the emunah, it has to come from outside of you. You can't generate it yourself, and therefore also, if the emunah comes b'toich shel Adam, v'hu makayim is rotzon Hashem, and he is keeping the rotzon of Hashem in the koyach of emunah, with this emunah and all this, through the emunah, and through this emunah, a man will not become one still with Elokus, because the mitzias of man will stay mirachok me'ito, he will stay far from him. So if the whole avoda is just the emunah coming from above, so then he's going to stay far from God. It's only after man will have the yegiyah. So without the yegiyah, he gets the first emunah, and now with that emunah, he now goes with the yegiyah and his efforts, and he is putting his effort into understanding godliness. And the avodah that brings from the side of man himself, only then will he cause an ichud, a oneness between his essence and Hashem. Ani v'hu devukim biyachad, which again was the shlo on the pasuk ze keli van vehu. Ani v'hu. So we have the emunah ish mi pi ish, and then you have the work. And then through that work, and you can bring yourself to this yichud. But from the second side, the emunah, that is the yesod and the preparation for the avoda through the seichel and havana, kafi shehu la'ayel, as it is above, that the elolim yored le tachtonim, as the higher ones are coming down, that is the preparation for the tachtonim will go up to the higher ones. And this is because of the seichel is ulu letalos letaos, that the seichel is possible to make a mistake. The sheichet shel havas adam la'asvos, that since man loves himself, and therefore he will take the sheichet, that he'll make the mistake. The hapuros domus lekach. That you can have that he won't actually reach the emes through seichel alone, and therefore you need the avodas Hashem to be a megusa al yisod shel amunah. He needs to be having the yisod of in Amuna and the Kabbalah's all, davar hagorim lekasha seichel vani hin nechunim ve'emetayim. So you have like a bittel of the seichel. You have the yigi. You're given over to God, and through that, then through the help from above, then you'll have the kivon of emes. Now also understand the seder of the parshas, because Yitro is first and then Mishpatim. Because the parshas Yitro is the parshas of Matan Torah that is given from above, so it's top down. And that's also the revelation by the Bnei Israel of Amuna, because that is a davar hamidba'eh b'hitzchalos atzmius. You see that the fact that the Jews had this level of charada, that they are trembling, so this is from their Amuna. But after the revelation from above, Eskalas b'matan Torah was a revelation of Matan Torah, then they begin the avodas of Hashem in the level of the Tachtonim, go up to the Elyonim. So after that revelation, so now we have the work of the Tachtonim, the avodah that brings to the Echad between the Metzias of the creating and between God. And that is the inyan of Mishpatim, and that's our parsha. So Yisro is the parsha of top down, and Mishpatim is the parsha of bottom up. That mitzavas sechles, the mishpatim is dealing with seichel dinim, that if you have an eved, or if a shore falls into a pit, the chachma of Hashem is grabbed in the seichel that has created seichel until the existence between them is a yichud niflo. So that God says if a cow falls into a pit and you dug the pit, you have to pay for the cow, and then you're like, I get it, that makes sense. So now you have a yichud niflo between you and God. V'kach choredes chachmaso shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you have the charada and you have the trembling of the chachma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'oifes es metzias ha'adam b'shleimoso, and it comes out with the making the man min shleimus. And here you have the charedi. The charedi will become one with God. Be'etzmos kol zos, and that through the methodology of all this, you will have the kavanos of Matan Torah, that is the connections of the Elyonim and the Tachtonim. So 10, and that will be understood of that, and the separation of the panemius and the depth of the matters between the drasha of Af Elu Misinai, that is brought in the Perish Rashi on the Torah, and Umikan Hoichel Shehi Nilmad B'derech HaPshat. So Rashi is dealing with the Pshat between the Dia B'Midrash, the Eila Mishpatim B'Mara Nemro. So Eila Mishpatim, so according to the Midrash, that Elam Mishpatim was said at Mara, which is a few weeks before Matan Torah, whereas Rashi is saying that has happened after Matan Torah. And when you always come in the limud in the derech pshat, because again Rashi is dealing with pshat, that it's the beginning of the avodah. So the pshat and the child who's 5 years old is at the beginning of his avodah. There's no understanding of elokus and ahava, v'yira, and all these type of things, because you haven't developed your seichel, you haven't developed your avodah yet. You're just beginning your avodah. Then there is not it's not enough, and also there's no help, there's no toelas. It doesn't it doesn't help at all to have the understanding of the seichel by the chayvus, by the obligations of keeping the mishpatim, because the nefesh of behemoth is still ruling the insides. It's still the nefesh behemoth is still ruling the roost, and because of that, therefore, using your seichel for these things aren't going to help, because your nefesh behemoth is just going to overrun your seichel. There is no moichen shoylet al halev, because the leiv is running wild, and therefore it needs at the beginning of the Yevodah to know and to understand that af elu misina. Also, these are from Sinai. So again, the Midrash is saying that it happened from Mara, which happened before, but Rashi from the Peshat, which is the beginning of the Avodah, you got to know it's from Sinai, because also the Mishpatim, they have the power in order to, like the 10 Commandments that were given from Sinai, with the Kolis and Barakim. So you had, again, this idea coming from Amuna. You also have the ideas from Seichel that are coming from the same source. And it's brought through Vayechared Kol Ha'am, so that through in Parshas Yisro, you have the Charedi. So Pachad and Bittul and Metzias Ha'atzmis. So this is all coming through the parshas of Yisro, and similar to this, you have the avodas of man through La'olam Yergos Adam Yetzer Yotov Al Yetzer Hara, that you should have this fight between the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara, Hatza'aka, Roiges Shel HaNefesh. So you have the battle and the cry of the soul of the Elokis on the Nefesh of Behemoth that is trembling, and Oifiv V'Tovahu Mitbatel, and then this gets to the level of Bittul, and connected this. Against this, when you've already Isaac in the ways of the Darish B'Torah, as to say the levels or the high levels in Avodas Hashem and Ahava V'Yira, and isvonus and these type of things, then adarabba, then you can mekayim the mitzvahs from the sog shel mishpatim. You can mekayim the mitzvahs of that you have in the parshas of Mishpatim without hustokakla leyirgos. You can do it without having that battle, without having that fight of the kolos and barachim shel matan Torah. So you don't need. So according to Rashi, which is the beginning of the avoda, so therefore you have the thunder and lightning, which is the battle, and that happens for the Mishpatim. But once you've developed your relationship with God, so now you can do the Mishpatim without the fight, and therefore you don't have the thunder and lightning, and therefore, according to the Midrash, you can have the Eli Mishpatim being given at Mara, which is not connected to Sinai, because that's a different level of your Avodas Hashem. But because of the Mara Shenamru, that is Kevan Shekach Mechoyev B'Seichel. So it's said in Mara, saying that it is Mechayev B'Seichel, so bitterness coming from the work in which you've worked your way through. But also, according to the parish of the Midrash, the Seder of the Parshas is the Hakdama Parshas Yitro to Parshas Mishpatim. Still, even according to what the Midrash is saying, the Seder is still, even if it happened in time, still the Seder is still Yitro and then Mishpatim, because also the Havana is also needed to have the Emunah and the Kabbalah soul. According as B'Siyas Chet Achzos Rak Legabe Ha'avoida. So we have explained already above, but this is only according to the avoda that it has this yisoid of the Havana of Sinai. So the avoda that is coming, that the charada is coming from Sinai, and the emuna is coming from Sinai, but the avoda from coming from Mishpatim itself is not the avoda from Kabbalah's all the Sinai, but it comes from the avoda of the koach seichel. So Mishpatim is coming from seichel, and Yisro is coming from avoda. So 11. Also understand in the words of the Rambam, because Chazal say, a man shouldn't say, I don't want to do the Averas. So he says, don't eat treif. Well, I don't want to eat treif. Rather, what should you say? I want to, but what can I do? My Father in the heavens was geyser on me and told me, don't eat the treif. So the kavana is only by the chukim. But by the mishpatim, you have to say, I don't want to do them. Because if you say that I want to, because then you're destroying your midas. And don't steal. Well, I want to steal. That's not how the bria works. It's understood in the Sifri of the Chassidus that also the Mishpatim you have to do by the Kabbalah's all, b'diak like a chukim. So it's understanding this as like later on that it's correct, however that you need to be the Kabbalah's all. Because it's impossible to have the seichel and your feelings of man to be you as one. And more than this, that when you do the mishpatim, only because of the understanding, then it will cause to that the whole thing of the avodas Hashem will be destroyed. Because by the Jew, it needs to be a kayim in all the manners of the sort of anechi Hashem lokecha, I am Hashem your God. So therefore, even when it comes to the mishpatim, it has to be from a Kabbalah soul, because God told you not to do it. No, really, I want to murder everybody, but God stopping me do it. Achim calls us with all this. The kavana of the mishpatim is that the mitzvahs will make the charada, will make the shaking, and it will keep fugames koichasav hapanim, and it will have the effect also on your internal of the man, and also the asgam hu, as he is in his mitzias. So therefore, the person himself. So it's not, again, it's not just the bittul, and therefore I'm doing God's will, so that my will comes into it as well, and therefore through that you have me and God, and therefore you can have the yachad. So you don't have the yibatel, and that to be disgusted by evil, and then you will have the efshi, that I don't want it. So when it comes to the mitzvahs, there is the to and fro between that the Torah, I want to go against everything, but I'm only makayim everything from God. But there's also where it goes into my guf and becomes part of the person. And therefore, since it's part of the person, therefore his will is God's will, and therefore he has no interest in stealing, not because he doesn't want the money, it's because it's the mitzvah, and this is the right way to live, and this is how I want to live my life. I don't want to steal, and I don't want to, even though it's a mitzvah of the melech. So 12. According to this, that there's a yisron, there's an extra of the avoda of yediyah mitzad hasaga, that you have this understanding of the avoda. So the avoda from understanding that through this it will be the oneness with the chachma of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, through your understanding, so you become one with the chachma. With all of this, since that the seichel of man is mugval and it's limited, it is clear that the yichud will be established only with the darkness that is extra, that is going beyond the seichel. So you can't have a yichud between yourself and your seichel and God, because God is so far beyond your seichel that there has to be that level of connection with God that goes beyond the seichel. The kavanah of Matan Torah is, according to this, to cause that you'll have this connection of the elyon with the tachton. So you have the higher and the lower, and then also that the elyon that is above the understanding of man. So even the elyon that's beyond seichel, and also in the level that is not at all in the betachom havant, or also the level that's not at all in the idea of seichel or understanding. It will come to the cheschabros and the connection with the tachtonim. And also this in the oifena, you will not cause to them the betela. It won't be bottled. You won't get lost in the infinity. So even the above the seichel, you say, well, that's not me. So therefore, the only way I can attach it if it's not me. But also the elyonim that will be surround totally your mitzias and your existence, and that is the chiddush of Elokei Aviv Mehu. It comes after Zeh Keli Mehu. So again, Zeh Keli Mehu is how it enters into the seichel. This is my God, it's me and Him. That's how it is in the seichel. But then you have a level of connection to God that goes even beyond that, which is beyond the seichel, and that is why Elokei Aviv Mehu comes afterwards. That you have the emunah that goes beyond the seichel, and the emunah that is in the Kabbalah Avish Piyish that you get from someone. That's the level of Zeh Keli Vehu is not coming from the avoda of man itself, and therefore it is not connected to his essence, as it is as we've explained above, and therefore it is not mentioned in the Shiras Bnei Yisrael. Because again, we're doing the Az Yishur Moshe, so this is the Zeh Keli Vehu, and therefore it's coming in. So this madrega that's before is before the seichel. The lower level of emunah is not mentioned here, because it is not coming out of the avoda, because the avoda starts after the lower level of emunah. And the avoda is the shira of the Jews, is the avoda. Therefore, since the shira is the avoda, therefore you only got the second and third level and not the first level, which is before the avoda. It's a koyach. It's a koyach that's given from above. And it's the erusa de la ela, which is not coming from the tata, so therefore it's not mentioned, because here the shira is the avoda. But it is not that it is after the kayim etzel adam ichud that you have this complete oneness with the Chachma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Anivahu, Devakim Biyachu, we're one. So much that they are written in one word, the Anvehu. So Anivahu has this yichud, and it comes as one word. Me and him, we're so together that it's only one word, Vamehu. Then also the level that's above of the understanding, and that's is capable to bring it in only in the oifen of Ramehu, that I will lift him up, but with the power of the emunah. And then also that the level, these levels are not bringing to bittul of your mitzias. So even though you're going beyond your seichel, you don't lose your essence. Ele aromenhu, I will lift him up. Himself got the choyder lemitzias adam, or pierce into the existence of man, because his mitzias is one completely with God, and therefore it is not bittul, even by the level of the highest levels of that goes beyond the seichel and your understanding. That is also understood why at the end of the Parshas Mishpatim it has the kesher to Matan Torah. It says Naaseh venishma at the end of Mishpatim, not at the end of Yitro. And according to this, then it's written din basar b'chalav. You have the chuk kasher when you makayim, when you establish the inyan of the Mishpatim, then you have the ichud of the seichel of man in the chachma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the parsha of Yisro is erusa de la Eila, and it's only the chachmas of Hashem to the chuk. But then you have the Mishpatim, then you also have the oneness of the seichel of man with God, and therefore you also have the chukim through. After you have the seichel, then the chukim can also reach the level of that oneness, and that is the inyan of Naaseh venishma u'matan Torah. And that is the level of Mishpatim. Then they are piercing into the mitzias of man, and therefore that they bring that godliness into man through his avodah of the seichel of the Mishpatim. So only after the Mishpatim can you say Naaseh venishma, because before then, when you makabel the Torah, since it's all erusa de la Eila and you never brought yourself into it, therefore you don't have that yichud, and therefore you never go to the level of Naaseh venishma. So he finishes off here in 13 with how it also goes into Chassidus and the development of Chabad. That just as you have the Matan Torah is a klal at the beginning of Parshas Yitro, you have the revelation from above. After that, you have the avodas of man, and you have the Mishpatim. So you have two levels. At the beginning, you have the Mishpatim K'pshutam, the mitzvah the seichel, and at the end, you have the chukim and the Matan Torah that don't cause the bittul of the mitzvahs of man. Also, you'll find in the shlavim, these levels and these steps, also in the revelation of the Panim Torah, the Torah of Chassidus. At the beginning of the revelation of the Torah Chassidus, Haklalis, it comes out in a klal form, in the oifen, in a manner that is not grasped in the seichel through the Baal Shem Tov. So if you see the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, he didn't really write books. He had his Talmidim say things, and they're like nice vertelach that people say over the Shabbos table. They're in the level of the klali. It doesn't break down all the points, and then you have the chiddush of the Balatanya who writes the Tanya, and then he breaks everything down into a seichel manner but it's the same klalim. But you have the Yerusa de la Eila, and then only after that you have the avodas of man. So sitting around at the Shabbos table and getting nice vertil, like you don't have avodah, but understanding your whole life in the framework of Torah through the Tanya, so that takes avodah. So the ikar of this level is the inyan of Amunah, V'tzadik Amunah Yichya. So therefore you have this revelation klalit by the Baal Shem Tov. But the kavana is that the Torah of the Chassidus is going to pierce the mitzias of man himself into his seichel and his koichas ha-panim. So there's the revelation after this, the Torah Chassidus of Chabad, Davka Chachma B'ina Das. So only it had to come generations later because the Balatanya came 2 generations after you had the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid of Mizrich, and then the Balatanya. You had other heads of Chassidim there as well, but they weren't entering into the Chabad, and the Chabad say that the Balatanya was the true revelation of the Torah of the Magid of Mizrich. So through the Admor Azok and the Balatanya, which brings the Chassidus to the koichas of the Seichel of the Chabad of in the Nefesh. So too, everyone is able to understand the matters until they enter into his mitzias. So you have the revelation. Without the Baal Shem Tov, you can never get to the level of the Tanya. But there's no avoida until you reach the level of the Tanya. Obviously, the Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov had the avoida, but it didn't come out in the ways, the Torah in which we have of the Baal Shem Tov, the avodah that his Talmidim were doing was not gilui by us. And through the understanding of Elokos, of Ani, who they're one, it causes that also when we recognize after that the tachlis, the idea that is not, so the tachlis of the knowledge that will not be known. So Makira Makach will understand this, that also the inyanim that they are, l'chayro. The tachum havanto, they will come into your havana lamaisa lamala me havana. It goes beyond the havana, and also more than this, even that the matters that are not me letchila betachum havana, things that you don't originally understand. Kol ele lo yeshuru eslo venishma makifim. They will not remain by him in the level of makifim chetzoni bilvad, but they will come into the man himself as levels of mishpatim. And mishpatim here are things that you understand and you can relate to. So going through again the nimshal here is that you have the klalim of the Baal Shem Tov, which is like the Parshas of Yitro. Then you move on to the seichel of the mishpatim, but then through that, then you can, like the Or Choizer, you can then get a level of the klalim into your seichel on a much higher level that you couldn't reach before that. And through this level of understanding the Torah B'chlal and the Torah Chassidus Chabad B'prat, then you be zeicha to learn the Torah shel of Mashiach, to learn in the oifen of Riyah, so you see it. Until it's the revelation of the Kavod Hashem, and you see Kol Basar, everyone will see the Yacht of Ki, because the mouth of Hashem is talking. This oifen of seeing refers back to a Imam on the Rebbe on Parshas Yisro, where something that you see, the seeing is believing. So at the time of Matan Torah, you have the seeing of what's heard are things that are difficult to understand or that you hear about, means you have like a Kabbalah, you have an Amunah. So when you hear about it, so therefore you have this Amunah that it's true, but when you see it, you believe it on a much different level. So here you have the Amunah, but then it comes out in the level of Riyah, that what is usually only a level of hearing And it's far from you. We don't really get it. That comes to the level of Re'iyah. What happened in Matan Torah is that what was seen was heard. So that things that are seen, that the physicality of Gashmias and that the level of physicality of what's real, what people would see that this table is real, this all this the Gashmis is real, that becomes a level of hearing. You say, well, I don't know how real this is, because when you're on the level of that revelation of God, so therefore since God becomes so real, therefore anything that's not the revelation of God becomes a bit of what on earth is this, and it becomes the level of hearing. You say, well, if you tell me this table is real, then I guess I'll believe you, but I don't, it's just I only believe you on the level of Kabbalah that you've told me. The level of Re'iyah, that you have that me and God are one, that's on the level of Riyah, and that there's no doubt about it at all.